we've knocked out 97% of the drugs coming in by water, and we are going to start now hitting land with regard to the cartels.
Trump was talking about the cartels in Mexico, and he has vowed to start hitting them on land inside Mexico. But Sheinbaum is still pushing back against any U.S. military intervention to deal with the cartels. Meanwhile, the cartels are still on the rampage, killing thousands of innocent people. Just a few days ago, a clandestine grave with 13 bodies was discovered in Villagrán, Guanajuato.
There have been 20 bodies found in various graves so far this year, but this is the largest one so far in these early days of the year. The bodies were found in open land, in an uninhabited area, and it appears they had been deceased for at least several weeks.
Meanwhile, disappearances keep rising. Corruption, lack of resources, and poor coordination hinder efforts by groups like the National Search Commission. Human rights groups accuse the previous government of downplaying the numbers.
So now, the question is, will Trump finally give the green light to start hitting these criminals? And how will the operation unfold? Will it be like anything we just saw in Venezuela? Right from his first term in office, President Trump has never been shy about his determination to wipe out the cartels from the surface of the earth.
Cartels are waging war on America, and just as I promised in the campaign, we're waging war on them like they've never seen before. All you have to do is turn on your television and you'll see what's happening to them. Past administrations have tried to mitigate this threat, and our objective is to eliminate it. We're not mitigating, we're eliminating, we're getting them out.
This was following months-long maritime operations in the Caribbean and Eastern Pacific waters, where the U.S., the military, on Trump's orders, has killed more than 120 people in 35 separate attacks on drug vessels. But Trump's most audacious move yet was the latest Delta Force operation inside Venezuela that ended with the dramatic capture of Nicolas Maduro. Now, even after dismantling what Trump himself called one of the world's largest drug trafficking organizations with Maduro's capture, Trump has not turned his attention to Mexico.
Cartels are running Mexico. It's very, very sad to watch and see what's happened to that country, but the cartels are running, and they're killing 250, 300,000 people in our country every single year. The drugs, it's horrible. It's devastated families. You lose a child or a parent. I mean, parents are dying too with drugs.
That means in the coming weeks, we could see the same kind of precision airstrikes inside Mexico. We're talking about missile strikes, drone strikes, and Delta Force operators swooping down from helicopters in the middle of the night with night vision goggles to hit cartel leadership, logistics, and infrastructure where they operate. These strikes would be far easier in Mexico because the country is just too exposed. Venezuela had real air defenses, such as the Chinese JY-27A and JY-1 long-range radars, but all of that was rendered completely useless against U.S. military might.
For years, Caracas flaunted Chinese-made systems, from the stealth killer JY-27 radars to amphibious assault vehicles and fighter jets, claiming the most advanced defense network in South America. Yet, when the US operation struck, that defense collapsed within hours. Electronic warfare blinded radars, command networks froze, and anti-radiation missiles followed.
Now, imagine what would happen in Mexico with no single fighter aircraft, let alone air defense systems. Mexico's leadership understood that immediately, and as soon as Trump's comments went public, Claudia Sheinbaum assembled her security team and her foreign minister and made a direct call to Trump. The conversation lasted about 15 minutes, and shortly after, Sheinbaum publicly rejected the idea of U.S. military action inside Mexico.
In general, he insists on the U.S. military being involved, and we always tell him that is not necessary.
And we have said no very firmly. First, because we defend our sovereignty, and second, because it is not necessary.
The same old rant about sovereignty, while the cartels are literally running parts of Mexico at this point. One such is the state of Guanajuato, where the authorities just dug up 13 bodies from a clandestine grave. The first grave was found in Villagrán, Guanajuato, on January 5th, after authorities received anonymous tips pointing them to a rural farm in the area.
Yesterday, Authorities were carrying out operations after receiving reports of foul odors. This led them to an area of land near the Emiliano Zapata neighborhood, also close to the service road that leads toward Celaya in the municipality of Villagrán, passing through Juventino Rosas as well. And well, that is where they located this new clandestine grave.
Once the forensic team began digging, they recovered 10 bodies that same day. Then, over the next 2 days, 3 more were pulled from the ground, bringing the total to 13 bodies, all in different stages of decomposition. But the truth is, scenes like this have become disturbingly common in Guanajuato. Villagrán sits in a corridor that has become the center of cartel operations. For years, this area has been fought over by 2 rival groups trying to control it. On one side is the Santa Rosa de Lima cartel, and on the other is the Jalisco New Generation cartel. Because of this bloody war, the region has slowly turned into a cemetery of clandestine graves for their victims. It's so bad that the state now has 39 forensic labs, more than any other state. Places like Villagrán are just one part of a much bigger problem. In Irapuato, authorities recently discovered the remains of 32 people in a clandestine grave inside an abandoned home.
And the remains of 32 people have been found at a property in Irapuato, central Mexico. This according to the Guanajuato State's Attorney's General Office.
The search began as part of an investigation into missing persons, but the search ended with the horrific discovery. Many of the victims had been dismembered and stuffed into plastic bags, making it difficult to identify all the bodies.
15 of the victims have been identified, while efforts continue to identify the remaining individuals, clarify the circumstances surrounding the discovery, and prosecute those responsible.
It is because the bodies were apparently in very dismembered and fragmented state. That is why it is taking these officials to take time to identify these bodies.
Across Guanajuato, hundreds of secret graves have been found over the past 5 years, more than in almost any other state in Mexico. During that same time, people searching for missing loved ones have been killed, families have been threatened, and whole communities have been forced into silence. Guanajuato has consistently ranked among the most violent states in Mexico, even as federal officials point to declining homicide statistics. And that's the craziest part, because while official homicide numbers are going down, the number of missing persons has doubled under the Sheinbaum administration. 20 people disappeared every day while Andrés Manuel López Obrador was president. But under Sheinbaum, this daily number has risen to 41. Right now, no one is off limits for these guys, but one murder of a Guanajuato's top prosecutor shook the entire nation. So, this attack happened early in the morning on September 25th, 2025. Juan Alberto Camarillo Zavala, one of the highest-ranking commanders in Guanajuato's State Attorney General's office, was driving to work, following the same route he took every single day. But along the San Felipe Dolores Hidalgo Highway, near the communities of La Estancia and Capilas, armed men intercepted his vehicle. According to the reports, the hitmen then deprived him of his liberty and executed him right there on the asphalt before setting his vehicle on fire. Alberto's body was only found after other passing drivers who saw the burning vehicle alerted the police. The police would later confirm that Alberto was not the only victim.
According to statements from several witnesses, it seems that he was accompanied by another person who had allegedly been injured. The prosecutor's office confirmed that he was the area chief and that they are conducting the respective investigations. He was identified as Juan Alberto Camarillo Zavala and, well, he had been with the police force for several years. They assured that what happened to this public official is an affront to the state. They also assured that they are already conducting the respective investigations, regretted the events, and assured that this will not go unpunished.
Within minutes, that stretch of highway, one of the busiest routes in northern Guanajuato, was completely shut down. Soldiers, National Guard units, and state police flooded the area, blocking traffic in both directions, while investigators collected shell casings and what little evidence remained. But even without any further investigation, the motive for the attack was clear. Camarillo led the Common Processing Unit, an office responsible for handling sensitive criminal prosecutions across multiple municipalities in Guanajuato. So his job put him in the crosshairs of the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, which had been expanding aggressively across the state. That's why the cartel made an example of him to send a message. But just days later, authorities released footage showing 2 suspects being escorted into custody. A judge ordered them held in pre-trial detention as the case moved forward. As many had already suspected, both suspects were identified as CJNG members, Giovanni Alejandro and Milet Janici. A third suspect was arrested soon after, and all 3 were charged with homicide and aggravated robbery. Still, investigators made it clear they weren't done.
I would like to tell you that, well, since yesterday, Thursday, a series of raids and investigations began in the community of Santa Rosa de Lima, where the Maro cartel emerged. There, they are blocking the entrance to the community, and agents are continuing operations to find the whereabouts of more people involved in the death of the district chief of the prosecutor's office.
Raids and operations began in Santa Rosa de Lima, a community long tied to cartel activity. Entrances were blocked off as authorities searched for more people connected to the killing. Camarillo's murder became the 33rd political assassination in Guanajuato in 2025. Nationwide, that number had already reached 112 political killings in just the first half of 2025. So, when you hear Trump say that the cartels are now running Mexico, he was not exaggerating. But do you think a unilateral military action in Mexico will bring a permanent solution? Or do you think Trump should let Mexico deal with this? Please feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth videos like this. Meanwhile, click on any of the cards on your screen right now to watch more of our videos.